Okay, I'd like to thank Josh and call on Peter Coulson to open his team's case.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's debate has largely, we've heard lots of different things, but what this all comes down to, is one single element, and I'm going to leave that failed attempt at a joke there. Alright, so look, first some rebuttal. Look, the fact that there's no utility to circumcision is absolute bullshit. Alright, there are 4 clear reasons why people get circumcision. And first of all, can I point out that 3 in 5 men have this done in Australia. Alright, so we're not just talking about a few Jewish people, and we're not talking about a small sector of the community. Alright, we're talking about what is actually the majority of people. All right, so let me get that point clear first up. 3 out of 5 get circumcised. So there's 4 clear reasons I said. First of all, infection. All right, when you have material that gets underneath the foreskin and it can become infected, that leads to all sorts of diseases. Opening up talked about STIs, but there's just more simple reasons than that. If you get any kind of bodily fluids or urine or anything in there that gets inside and the gunk gets infected, your foreskin gets all kinds of diseases and it can fall off. That's the serious problem. That's one of the main reasons why you get that foreskin cut off. No, thank you. So, infection's the first one. The second one is sexual pleasure. Again, this has already been touched on, so I'm only going to deal with it briefly. But there are very clear reasons why you don't want to have something between your nice bits and your partner's nice bits, all right? You want to get rid of that. Condoms detract from sexual pleasure, so why would foreskins not do the same thing? It's quite simple logic, and I really don't think I need to analyse that too much more. The third reason, and this is one that I put out earlier, is perception. They look better when they're cut. Elaine Bennett from Seinfeld is a clear and leading person on the point when it said that when she was with a partner who wasn't circumcised, she couldn't deal with it. She said that there was no personality to this cock that hadn't been cut. So that's a very clear reason why you should also get it up. The fourth, and that's really centred to this debate, is the religious reason. All right, why do people get circumcised? All right, the Mosaic Code that the Jews and Christians believe in said that you get a circumcised to remind you of the relationship between man and God. All right, that's what it's all about. It's all about every time you see it, that you have to know that what you believe in is that there was a God who created you who wants to have a relationship with you. That's why they do it. All right, but it's not the single reason. There are 3 others. So simply for Josh to come up here and base all their analysis on the fact that people who are religious get this done really misses the far greater point that it's not just Jews who are getting it done. There are lots of other people who get it done for lots of other reasons. No, thank you. So, where's our extension going? Well, what I'm going to analyse is the relationship between parents and children. This whole debate so far has centred about the independent autonomy of kids, and that really misses the point. It's only one side of the coin. There's the parents here, and we got some analysis from Opening Up, and bravo to them for that. And they looked at parents' rights, but no one's actually connected the dots. And that's what I'm going to do, is have a look at that relationship between parents and kids, and tell you why it's really important that we allow parents to be able to raise children as they see fit. Now, and I'm going to analyse that on 2 levels. The first is the flesh of my flesh argument. The fact that kids are their parents' legacy, and they have a right, not a right, but also a duty and an obligation to do so in the best way possible. And the second way that I'm going to look at that is the role of government argument. All right, whether or not we should have the government interfering in these sorts of things. Yeah, Josh.
We don't allow parents to be able to opt kids out of essential medical surgery on religious grounds. Why should we allow them to make these sort of decisions over their kids?
Well, look, as I put to you, either you or someone before in a point of information, this isn't essential surgery. This isn't, people aren't going to die when they get their penis cut. But it's a lot similar to ear piercing. It's a lot similar to veganism, really, when you think about it. If parents have taken the cultural reason that they want to be vegetarians, right, and they're going to raise their kids to be vegetarians, then we think they should have the right to do that. We don't think the government should come in and tell them. Now, there might be all sorts of risks associated with that. Those kids could grow up to be anemic. They might not get the folic acid and the iron that kids need in their developing stages, and all the various nutrients that are involved in meat eating to be able to grow up healthy and fit. But the thing is, right, we still say that it's okay for parents to make those sort of cultural and religious decisions about their kids. All right? And the reason why is because of this fundamental relationship between parents and children. And that is, right, children are an extension of their parents. They are the legacy that they leave in this world. It is incumbent on parents to raise kids in the best way that they see fit. Not just because these kids exist, but because they are their own flesh. They are someone that they have brought into this world. All right? They're not just someone they picked off a shelf. Right? They're not someone that they picked up in the street. This is a creation of flesh from two parents, and they are raising their child, setting them out into the world in the best way that they can see possible. And see, it's different to say, and as Josh tried to make out, that kids should have the right to veto their culture. And sure, when they become 18, they do. But what society recognises is that for that first 18 years of life, parents have the right to make the decisions based on their kids growing up, because we recognise that the relationship between parents and kids is so paramount. And it's not just because it's in the best interest of the kids, but also because there are benefits that flow to the parents for raising their children in positive ways. You see, it's widely recognised in society that good kids reflect well on their parents, bad kids reflect badly on their parents. All right. So a parent who makes bad decisions for their kids in the way in which they raise them is essentially doing themselves a disservice. So therefore, what society recognises is that parents make the best decisions for their kids for their own purposes, in that it reflects well on them. The second argument here, no, I've already taken it. The second argument here is the role of government. All right. We don't accept that the government should be making interventions into people's particular religious and cultural grounds unless there's a very clear and unmitigated harm. And on this point, right, no one on the government bench has really made out a compelling case for why we should stop this. The closest that we got was from Josh, and I've briefly analysed it before. I'm going to go over it in a little bit more detail. Josh said that the reason why people shouldn't be allowed to be cut is because when they turn 18, they can't look past that. Well, as I've shown you, right, there are plenty of other reasons why people get this done. So there are other reasons for doing this. And we don't think that this is one single great big billboard that's going to be attached to your flesh for the rest of your life, reminding you of your parents. Right? We think 18 years of upbringing is more likely to remind you of the way in which your parents raised you. We think 12 years of Catholic Catholic school is probably going to be a much bigger reminder of where you came from. And we don't think that as much as we should allow people to make decisions about their own cultural and religious pursuits in life, we don't think that suggesting that parents shouldn't have the right to raise their kids as they see fit, just because at some point the kids might disagree with it, is reason enough for the government to step in. That harm threshold has not been met on the point in which the government is trying to set out, right? If they're allowed to raise them by sending them to school, read them the Bible at night, if they're allowed to do all of those sorts of things, then this is only the logical extension. And to prevent them from doing this one thing in abstention of everything else is counterproductive, and it really isn't sufficient to be able to meet the reasons for why we should propose this. For that reason, we're proud to oppose. Thank you.